the OldPreMeds podcast, session number 204. You're a non-traditional student entering the medical field on your terms. You may have had some hiccups along the way, but now you're ready to change course and go back and serve others as a physician. This podcast is here to help answer your questions and help educate you on your non-traditional journey to becoming a physician. Welcome to the OldPreMeds podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, and I hope you're having a great week. We have a great question today from our non-traditional pre-med forum over at premedforums.com. Not specifically a non-traditional question, but potentially, if you are a non-traditional student, you've been on interviews in the past, job interviews, then you may come to think that there's a certain etiquette or things that you bring or don't bring to an interview, and you're wondering potentially if it's the same for a medical school interview. So let's go ahead and jump into our question today. Our student says, "Hello all. Does anyone consider it unprofessional to bring a written list of reasons why you'd like to attend or questions about the school to a med school interview? I found that my top choices exhibit several characteristics that draw me to them, and I don't want to miss relating any of them to the interview committees if I'm granted an interview. Thanks for your thoughts." All right, good question, right? Can I bring a list of reasons I want to go to the medical school or a list of questions that I want to make sure I bring? All very important stuff. Now, here's what I have to say. I think you should bring notes to your medical school interview. I don't think you should use your notes to make sure during an interview, if you're asked, "Hey, why do you want to come to our school?" You're like, "Oh, excuse me, let me open up my notebook and let me read off the reasons." That to me just sounds lazy, like you aren't taking the interview seriously, the interview day seriously, and you just have done some research beforehand and you wrote them all down, and now you're gonna regurgitate them from your list. I think you should have that list, and then at some point during the interview day, if you have a minute, you can look over that list and remind yourself. I think that's a good thing. Now, one place where I do recommend potentially looking at your notes, if you feel comfortable doing it, is when an interviewer asks you if you have any questions. A lot of students blank at this point because the adrenaline rush of being asked questions just completely wipes your mind. And you're like, "Oh, shoot, like I had some questions, but I don't anymore." And so I do recommend writing down questions that you want to ask the interviewers and potentially refer to that list during your interview. I would not take notes during an interview. I probably wouldn't even take notes during different presentations that different faculty or administration are giving. Just listen, maintain great eye contact, be present. That is what you should be doing on your interview day. And then when you have opportunities outside of those presentations and outside of the interviews, take notes, jot down some information that you think is important, and move forward. I think it's okay if you jot down some other general questions that you want to make sure are answered on your interview day. Potentially looking at that list and just making sure before different presentations or maybe after the different presentations, if there's something that the person presenting is still around and you can ask questions, making sure that those questions are answered. But again, the most important thing that you should be doing on your interview day is staying present and being there in person. Remember, the admissions committees want to make sure you are going to be a physician who's going to be present with their loved ones, right? We have an issue today in medicine where physicians hide behind the computer screen, their nose in the electronic medical record. And if you are at your interview day with your nose in your notes, that just doesn't look good. Be present, be there, have fun. That is what the interview day is all about. I hope that was helpful for you. If you want more information about the medical school interview, go to, premedplaybook.com. We'll take you to my Amazon store where you can buy my Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the Medical School Interview. as well as the guide to the medical school personal statement. Obviously, for this podcast episode, the interview book is what you want to check out. So it's a best-selling medical school interview book out there. Probably the highest rated one too. I don't know. Go check it out. Again, premedplaybook.com. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast.
This is MedEd Media.